But I don't feel like Lauren is getting enough hate for my liking. Because if Madison is being seen as this big manipulator, Lauren is doing manipulating too. She's just better at it. Let's quickly get into Love is Blind Season 8, Episodes 2 and 3. The main topic today will be Madison's love triangle. It's more of a quad triangle, as they would call it in soap operas, because there's 4 people involved. But before we get to that, let's talk about the positives first. I like to talk about the positives first and, get that out of the way so then I can talk my shit. We got the first meeting of the season between Joey and Monica, and it was great. I've only seen 2 seasons of this show now, but that was a really good first meeting. They were high energy, laughing the whole time. In the pods, they seemed to just naturally have so much in common. So for their first meeting to be so positive, I thought it was really cute, actually. They were making me laugh at times, too, which is hard for this show because most of the time it's kind of cheesy or boring. But, these two, they have very over-the-top personalities. Sometimes it's cringy, but, I think for them it works. They are able to match each other's big personalities. I loved when Joey was like, wait, I have a gift for you, and that's the ring he has to propose with. I thought it was all really positive and really nice to see. I hope those two do work out. I do like them as a couple, and they have so much in common. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about all these other couples today, just 2 of the triangles that, once again, got the most screen time. This time, we're going to start with the Madison, Alex, Mason triangle, but it's also a quad triangle because Mason is also involved with Meg. In fact, let's start with Mason and Meg, because in the first episode, in my first video the other day or yesterday, whenever it aired, I thought Mason was a people pleaser, and I still think that, but I thought maybe he was faking all the interest with Meg about all of the conspiracy talk and the really out there stuff, like the ants somehow leading to weather machines. But it seems like Mason actually is into those crazy conspiracy theories, because as these 2 episodes went on, he was talking about some conspiracy about glowing green stuff in Egypt that seemed to not actually be a real thing. But they get along with all of the out there talk. And I do think, much like Joey and Monica, that is something that they do seem to have in common. And I think that's why they click so well. And I think that's why Meg seems really into him. And he seems into her too, but I really can't get a gauge for what Mason actually wants, because he does do similar stuff with Madison that he does with Meg. And I don't know if it's just Mason trying to play both of the women. That's kind of what it comes off as. I called him fake in the first episode because to me he does come off as like he's trying to just please the women without having to make a real choice. And so Madison online is getting a lot of grief for being manipulative. But I think Mason actually matches that energy, in my opinion. Now, something Madison does a lot, and this was one of my biggest problems with last season, is she just loves to trauma dump. All of her trauma as a child that she had to go through, from her drug-addicted parent to having to, I feel like maybe when she was younger, she had to manipulate out of other situations, and then maybe that's why she comes across the way she does in these 2 episodes as a manipulator. One of the biggest issues between her and Alex started when she said to him that her attachment style is avoidant attachment. And Alex seems to have PTSD from past relationships with other people who have avoidant attachment to the extreme. And so that seemed to turn Alex off of Madison in that conversation. She tried to pull him back in that conversation, and then later gave him the bear alien that she sleeps with as like a way to kind of reel him back in. And I feel like that's what some of the people online were seeing as manipulative. And I think I can see the point of that. It's kind of a reach there. Like I see Madison as like into both the guys, but also like what is she supposed to do? Like want to be rejected? Like she's on the show, she's there trying to find love. So I understand her giving the bear to Alex. Like I don't know if that's manipulative or her actually being interested in him and trying to show her interest in him. Now she is a Leo, so like she is clearly attention seeking. Like I'm not going to sit here and say that she's not attention seeking. And with Meg going around and being like, "Oh, she's so into Mason. She's so into Mason." I do feel like Madison, who told Alex that she didn't care that there's this other girl who's into one of her high ups on the list, but then goes to Mason and tries to reel him back in too. That was where I more so started to see manipulative behavior from her. It's like she wants to be the one chosen by Mason just because Meg is so into him and making it seem like he's so into Meg, which when he did say he called her Megs instead of Mads at one point, and she said what, and he just kind of played it off. It made me laugh because I think that kind of deep down he enjoys talking to Meg more than he enjoys talking to Madison. And Madison, you know, she loves her deep conversations. But, like, it's the trauma dumping that she does that I would assume would be a turnoff sometimes to some of these men. And I feel like Mason has more fun talking to Meg, but maybe they don't have that deeper connection yet. And that's still my conundrum with Mason, though, because in the last conversation in episode 3, Madison is reeling him back in, saying that she just wants to make sure that he's actually into her still. And by the end of that conversation, it seemed like Mason was making it seem like he wanted to pick Madison over Meg. But I don't know if I believe that. And I don't know if he believes that. And I don't know if this was just Mason once again being a people pleaser with Madison or whatever it is that Mason does. And all these M names connected in this triangle is too much. So hopefully Alex somehow sticks around, because I don't know if I can talk about all 3 of these M names going forward. My thoughts on the whole situation is I don't think any of them are going to work out with Madison, because much like people last season, she does too much trauma dumping and she needs therapy and not a relationship right now. Could Mason and Meg work out? Maybe, but do I want to watch them for several more episodes talking about random things that don't actually exist because they're just conspiracy theories? Not really. The other triangle that's still getting a lot of screen time is David's. And David is still very unlikable. I would agree with people on that. But I don't feel like Lauren is getting enough hate for my liking. Because if Madison is being seen as this big manipulator, Lauren is doing manipulating too. She's just better at it. She's doing it more undercover because she knows that Molly is so into Dave, and because Molly is going around telling a lot of people, but Lauren continues to keep it close to the vest that that David is also her number one. And she too had a conversation with David about that, similar to like Madison did with Mason. So to me, Lauren is also a manipulator. If Madison is 1, then Lauren is 2. It's just that Madison is more upfront about it. or I guess more aggressive about it. And Lauren is trying to play it more low key. I would like, if David's going to end up with anyone, I would like him to end up with Molly because that would be a shit show. Because I think Molly has a lot of qualities that are a little. I think she would be obsessed, and I think that could cause or make for some good TV. Whereas David and Lauren, I feel like we're gonna supposed to sit there and root for Lauren to dump him or something. And for me, it's just I don't really like Lauren either, so I don't know. I fear that's probably the direction it's going is Marcel, David, and Lauren for the season's sake. And the season isn't the most interesting, let's be honest. I think David and Molly would make for better TV down the line, but we'll see where that goes. Don't really have a lot of commentary on anyone else right now. They didn't get that much screen time. Sarah and Ben are having discussions about Ben being pretty religious or pretty faithful, as he likes to say, faith instead of religion. We'll see if that works out for them. Sarah seemed a little apprehensive because of the way some religions be supposed to be love thy neighbor, but then, the gays are going to hell. So I kind of understood that from Sarah. Devin is still likable. He still has fun with Brittany, but Virginia seems to really like him, even though Virginia is saying that she's never dated a nice guy in her life, which means it makes it seem like Virginia is really bad at picking men if they're all just a bunch of assholes. Maybe she should like David more. But I like Devin. He's a Pisces, so of course I'm going to like Devin. But they're not getting a lot of screen time, so we'll see what happens with them in these last few episodes of the first 6. For now, I'll catch you when I watch the other 3 episodes.